In the 1990s, making a phone call in Zimbabwe was a luxury. Not because phones didn't exist, but because access was controlled. One government monopoly held the keys to communication. No competition, no disruption, no innovation. And then, one man decided to challenge the entire system. Not with political power, not with inherited wealth, but with an idea, a dangerous one. What if ordinary Africans could finally connect? That man, and what started as a business ambition would become one of Africa's most powerful telecom empires. But building it meant going to war against the state itself. Today, Strive Masiyiwa is known as one of Africa's most influential entrepreneurs. A billionaire businessman, founder of Econet, investor, philanthropist, technology visionary. But none of this was guaranteed. His journey wasn't built on easy access or privileged opportunity. It was built on resistance, courtrooms, financial pressure, political obstacles, and relentless persistence. While many entrepreneurs search for gaps in the market, Masiyiwa saw something much bigger, a broken system, and a continent waiting to be connected. His story matters because it represents something larger than personal success. It is the story of African innovation pushing against old structures, the story of strategy defeating control, and the story of how one idea can reshape an entire industry. Strive Masiyiwa was born in Zimbabwe in 1961. As a child, he spent part of his early life in Zambia, where his family had moved temporarily. Later, he studied electrical engineering in the United Kingdom. That detail matters, because while others were chasing traditional professions, Masiyiwa was learning systems, infrastructure, technology, networks. He wasn't just studying engineering, he was studying how modern economies communicate. And communication is power. After graduating, he returned to Zimbabwe with technical expertise and entrepreneurial ambition. He first launched a small engineering business. Nothing glamorous. No headlines. No billion-dollar valuation. Just practical work. Building experience. Learning execution. Understanding markets. But the real opportunity was still ahead. And it was hiding in plain sight. In the early 1990s, Zimbabwe's telecom industry was tightly controlled by the state. The government-owned entity had monopoly power. If people wanted telecom services, they had one option. And one option is rarely enough. Phone lines were limited. Installation delays were common. Demand far exceeded supply. Businesses struggled. Families waited. The market was starving. Masiyiwa saw what many missed. This wasn't just inconvenience. This was opportunity. A massive one. He believed mobile telecommunications could solve access problems faster than traditional infrastructure. Instead of waiting years for landline expansion, wireless technology could leapfrog limitations. This was a revolutionary idea for its time. But there was a problem. The government had no intention of allowing competition, and that meant Masiyiwa's vision immediately collided with institutional resistance. This wasn't just a business challenge. It became a battle. Most entrepreneurs, when blocked by regulation, pivot. They find another industry, another market, another dream. Masiyiwa did the opposite. He fought. He took Zimbabwe's state telecom monopoly to court. Think about that for a moment. A private entrepreneur versus the government. In the 1990s, in Africa, this was not a comfortable business negotiation. It was high-risk confrontation. He argued that preventing competition violated constitutional rights. A bold move, and an expensive one. For years, the legal battle dragged on. Court hearings, appeals, pressure, financial strain, political hostility. At one point, officials reportedly made life increasingly difficult for his ambitions. The message was clear: stop. But he refused. And that decision changed everything. After a prolonged legal fight, Zimbabwe's Supreme Court ruled in his favor. It was a historic victory, not just for Masiyiwa, for private enterprise, for competition, for innovation, for telecom liberalization. One courtroom victory had cracked open an entire industry, and now the real work could begin. With legal permission secured, Masiyiwa launched Econet, and timing was everything. Africa was on the edge of a communications revolution. Mobile technology was about to change the continent. But most people didn't yet realize it. Masiyiwa did. Econet entered the market with a clear mission: expand access, scale quickly, build infrastructure, reach underserved populations. This wasn't just about urban elites. It was about mass adoption. Ordinary users, businesses, rural communities, young professionals, families. Communication was no longer a luxury product. It was becoming essential infrastructure, and Econet rode that wave aggressively. Subscriber numbers grew. Brand recognition expanded. Revenue accelerated. What had once looked like a reckless legal gamble was now becoming a billion-dollar opportunity. Masiyiwa wasn't simply selling SIM cards. He was building a telecom ecosystem, and ecosystems create empires. But Zimbabwe was never the final destination. True empire builders think beyond borders. Masiyiwa expanded. Across Africa, then beyond. Econet grew operations and investments in multiple African markets. The playbook was strategic. Identify underdeveloped telecom sectors. Enter early. Scale infrastructure. Capture growth. It was a classic expansion model, but localized for African realities. High demand, low infrastructure, massive growth potential. This is what made telecom such a powerful business. Telecom isn't just technology. It sits at the center of modern economic activity. Banking, commerce, education, media, communication. Everything flows through networks. Control the network, and you influence the ecosystem. Masiyiwa understood this deeply, which is why his empire didn't stop at voice and data. It expanded into adjacent opportunities, especially digital services. As telecom matured, Masiyiwa positioned for the next phase: digital finance, technology, infrastructure, broadband, data services, platforms. This is what separates operators from strategists. Operators build businesses. Strategists build systems. Econet expanded into mobile money and financial technology, a logical evolution. In many African economies, telecom companies often become gateways to digital inclusion. Why? Because millions trust the network before they trust banks. That creates leverage, and leverage creates growth. Masiyiwa used telecom as a foundation, then layered new services on top. This transformed Econet from a communications company into a broader technology and services empire. Not just telecom, infrastructure power. Strive Masiyiwa's success isn't only about winning a court case. It's about strategic endurance, long-term thinking, and conviction. He often emphasizes principles like discipline, ethics, patience, and value creation. While many entrepreneurs obsess over fast wins, Masiyiwa played long games, years-long legal battles, infrastructure investment, regional expansion, strategic diversification. That requires unusual patience. His broader influence extends beyond business. He has invested in education, entrepreneurship, health initiatives, and philanthropy across Africa. He also became an influential voice in global business and development circles. But perhaps his greatest legacy is symbolic. He proved something powerful: that African entrepreneurs do not have to wait for permission to think big. They can build, compete, disrupt, and win, even in difficult environments. Strive Masiyiwa did not inherit a telecom empire. He built one. From resistance, from scarcity, from legal warfare, from vision. He looked at a locked system and saw possibility. He saw what Africa could become if people could simply connect. And then he committed to making that future real. His story is a reminder that innovation often begins where systems say no, that disruption is rarely welcomed, and that the biggest empires are often built by those willing to endure the longest battles. In the end, Strive Masiyiwa didn't just build a company. He helped power a telecom revolution across Africa, and that may be his most valuable legacy of all.